Welcome to part 4 of the developers Q&A in 2019 for the World of Secfenia. In this final part, we'll be covering questions about the future of the World of Secfenia. If you haven't watched any of the other parts of this video, I do recommend going back and watching through them. So let's dive in. We're going to be looking towards 2020 and the next chapter of Secfenia's development. Is there a chance that merchandise will happen? Years ago, we did some merchandise for another one of our websites, which was NFL Picks. The profit margin on it was relatively minor, about under $1 for each item, and shipping was handled by a third party. We didn't have a lot of merchandise that was sold, so it wasn't that we got a lot of money off of it. With that said, I won't say no. If you are interested in merchandise, let me know what you're thinking about what you might want to buy, and I'll see if maybe we can research into the possibility of having it sold. If not, it may be something that I can at least do as a one-time thing to have shipped to you as well. So if you're interested in something like that, contact me and we can discuss that further. What about the tavern setup? This is definitely an issue because we get from time to time people who want a new tavern or they don't like certain things with the current tavern. The tavern that we're using is done by Ajax Chats, and it's no longer supported by the original coder nor the previous maintainer. Myself and others have put together fixes to keep it going in the modern era. Will a new tavern ever come to be? At some point, we'll probably have to make a decision to be made on this. I don't really want to have to code it from scratch. Part of the reason for it is that would be very, very time consuming. And part of the challenge is we also have to have a tavern that works with NPCs, and all of our NPCs are form based. There is no huge in-game database connector to it. So we want to be able to try to keep that kind of feedback. I also want to avoid writing any kind of tavern program and a technology that I know will be dying off. Things like Flash are not going to be supported in the long term. So we've got a tavern that's aging a bit on the code wise that eventually I'll have to get either a new tavern or find another solution. What about PayPal alternatives? We're asked from time to time if we would consider alternatives to PayPal. We do have that interest. If there's a specific one that you're interested, contact me. One of the biggest challenges to the alternatives to PayPal is how much money we get out of it and how much sometimes you have to earn before they'll give you that money. Like, for example, Google Play. We've considered app development for payments. There's last time I looked at the requirements, there's a cost of $25 to be a developer, and then a 30% fee that they do on payments. So with that in mind, we wouldn't get as much money from Google Play, so we would probably have to adjust how much it costs via Google Play to have the same similar thing. One of the other topics that we've talked about in the past is, what about Patreon? Their fees are a bit more reasonable, but it looks like you either have to do it as a recurring fee structure or pay per post. Um, the pay per post doesn't work quite the same as like PayPal, and the recurring fee. I, I haven't seen anyone who's really said they were interested in a recurring fee. If that is something that you're interested to support us, I am happy to hear about it. Contact me and let me know. Now, in 2020, we are going to implement a change to the domain system. We have had most of our players over the years change their bookmarks towards secfenia.org. We have owned the domain secfenia.com for many, many years. I actually added that on after the secfenia.org address. However, with the rising costs of domain names and the fact that we don't really use it, I've decided I'm going to go ahead and retire that domain name. So this is the timeline that I have so far towards the discontinuation of the secfenia.com. Effective January 2020, secfenia.com will no longer redirect to secfenia.org, but instead display a notification about the discontinuation of secfenia.com, advising people to update their links. I really don't think that's going to affect too many people because I think everyone's pretty much already transferred over. But by June 2020, my plan is that secfenia.com will stop handling any internet traffic and we will end up letting the domain uh, essentially be fully discontinued. Now, any links to secfenia.org will continue to work in 2020 and moving forward. Now, the next thing that I want to look at is some of the different plan for code changes. This is, of course, just a plan. There's no guarantee that it will get all put in by 2020, but we hope to start these 7 projects during 2020. They are sea travel and ports. Based upon the feedback that we got from our players, it does seem that our players would like to have this aspect of the game developed more, and I'm excited about that, as it's an idea that I wanted to do years ago, and now I get to be able to work on that. The second one is a dye system that will show the color next to the item, so players will be able to essentially have unique colors for the different items. The third project is a steward redesign. Essentially, I want to take it away from where we have the stars and there's a little bit more clarity on how the stewards work. And I think this will make the steward system better for all of our players. And number 4, the peasant desires and military. I really want to see more ability for the peasants to be seen as part of normal life, interacting with people, and for the VRs to have their own militaries and interact with both players and peasant VRs, towns to, be more dynamic, um, and to even have it where you've got, say, like a peasant begging area. So I think that's going to be a very fun project to work on. Number 5 is siege devices. We received a lot of positive feedback in the survey regarding this. I do want to get to some of this. It's been something that I've wanted to do for years that will add an interesting dynamic. And then number 6 is updating the site design and code for HTML5. A lot of our code base started off with HTML4. I've used some aspects of essentially mixing it with some HTML5, but because it is an HTML4 document and there's no frameworks or anything in it, there's a lot of things that I've had to kind of work around to get things to work the way I wanted it to. The plan is to switch the code base to an HTML5 and be able to use some more modern technologies to achieve what I want to be done, um, and not have to run certain JavaScript to do it, since HTML5 can handle it without those additions. Want to do some changes to the code to update it to newer version of PHP, and so that's going to be a process that I want to put together. My current plan is also to add a code PHP code framework called Bootstrap to it to try to streamline certain things as well. Of course, that is a bigger project that will probably start in 2020, but will not, and I want to reiterate that, will not be done in 2020. And then the seventh thing that I want to start work towards in 2020 is revamping the survey center so we can get feedback in a more efficient, better way than what we have. The system has been good so far, but I know it can be a lot better. And so I'm going to work on making that more dynamic and to improve it for the future. That way we can get good feedback and continue to grow. I do want to say that I appreciate all of our players, their questions. For I want to thank all of y'all for watching and supporting us. If you do have any future questions for myself or for our administrative team or community team, please feel free to bring it up to us. We'll be happy to look into any questions you may have. And it's been a great decade so far working on Secfenia, and I look forward to continuing my work in the future.